Imagine you're at the very center of it all. A raging wildfire, a mass casualty event, a really complex police incident. Every single decision you make, every order you give, it carries life or death consequences. Well, welcome to the world of the incident commander. But here's the thing. The biggest threat they face isn't the fire or the chaos outside. It's a hidden enemy, one that attacks from within. So let's dig into what this opponent really is, and more importantly, how you defeat it. You see, in any crisis, the single most critical asset isn't the gear. It's not the training, it's the commander's mind. That's the central processor, the strategic engine for the entire operation. All the best equipment in the world means absolutely nothing if the person in charge can't think clearly anymore.
So, what happens when that razor-sharp mind starts to dull under all that immense pressure? The answer isn't just, a simple mistake. It can be a total, catastrophic system failure.
And look, this breaking point, it's not about a lack of willpower or some kind of character flaw. Not at all. It's about predictable neurobiology. It has a name, and understanding it is the absolute key to preventing disaster. And this is really the key thing to get. Decision fatigue isn't just about feeling worn out. It is a measurable physical process where the high-level reasoning part of your brain literally begins to shut down. So think of it less like being in a bad mood and more like a muscle that's been pushed way, way past its absolute limit.
All right, so what does this breakdown actually look like inside our heads? Let's kind of peek under the hood and see the two key players in this high-stakes internal drama.
Okay, so think of it like this. On one side, you've got the commander. That's your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. This is the cool, calm, calculating CEO of your brain. And on the other side, you've got the alarm system, your amygdala. It's that primal, lightning-fast threat detector. Now, under normal conditions, the commander is firmly in charge. But here's the problem. Every decision, every little bit of stress, it drains the commander's energy. It's like a battery getting lower and lower. And as it weakens, the alarm system sees its chance. It starts screaming threat, danger, act now. And eventually, it can actually seize control of the entire operation. And this whole process? It has a name, an amygdala hijack. So first, that constant stream of tough decisions and high stress, it just eats up your brain's resources. Second, the commander, your prefrontal cortex, gets weaker and weaker. Third, the alarm system jumps in and takes over, flooding your body with adrenaline and cortisol. And finally, rational, strategic thought just goes right out the window. You're no longer commanding the incident is commanding you. Okay, so if all of this drama is happening inside someone's head, how in the world can you spot it from the outside, before it's too late? Well, it turns out there are some very clear, observable signs that a leader's cognitive endurance is starting to fail. Now, what's so fascinating here is how all of these behaviors link right back to that brain science we were just talking about. Decision avoidance, that happens because the brain literally refuses to spend any more energy to make another choice. And goal seduction? Get this. This is when a commander, totally overwhelmed by the big picture, suddenly starts obsessing over a tiny detail, like getting a map labeled just perfect. It's the brain's way of finding a simple task it can complete to get a little dopamine hit of success. And that irritability, that's just the weakened commander failing to stop the emotional outbursts from the alarm system. And then there's the cognitive side. The commander literally starts losing track of units or objectives, that brain fog. Their brain, just desperate to save energy, starts taking these risky mental shortcuts instead of doing careful analysis. They can't think 10 minutes ahead anymore. They're stuck just reacting to what's happening right now. They might even start to lose track of time, which can be a fatal mistake when something like air supply is a factor. And this is where it all comes together in the real world. This is brilliant. Professional organizations actually operationalize this science. Incident safety officers are trained to use checklists just like this. They're constantly monitoring the commander's cognitive state. So under communication, they're listening for more than just commands. Radio silence or snapping at staff isn't a personality flaw. It's a huge sign of a breakdown in verbal fluency. For decision quality, they're asking, is the commander anticipating the fire's next move or just reacting to it? That shift from proactive to reactive is a massive red flag. And physically, that 1,000-yard stare, that's not just someone who's tired. It could be microsleeps, the brain literally shutting down for a split second, a sign of total cognitive overload. So spotting these red flags isn't about pointing fingers. It's a signal, a critical one, that it's time to step in. So what does that intervention look like? How do elite commanders actively fight back against this neurobiological enemy? This is where we shift from the problem to the solution. 5. That's it. That's the number. Cognitive science shows that under intense stress, your working memory, it shrinks dramatically. So if an incident commander tries to personally track more than about 5 units or tasks, their brain will literally start dropping information. It just can't hold it all. This is exactly why the single most important tactic is delegation. So how do you deal with that limitation? Well, the core strategy is something called cognitive offloading. It's a simple idea. If your internal hard drive, your brain, is totally full, you have to use an external one. It means getting all that crucial information out of your head and onto something physical. You see, a simple tactical worksheet, it's not just a notepad. You have to think of it as a cognitive prosthetic. Your brain is vulnerable. It gets tired, it forgets things under stress. The worksheet doesn't. It holds all the key information, where units are, what their objectives are, timelines, and that frees up the commander's precious mental bandwidth to actually think and strategize instead of just trying to remember everything. Okay, another fantastic tool in the toolkit is the tactical pause. You can think of this as a neurobiological reset button. By deliberately just stopping the action for 30 to 60 seconds, the commander breaks that cycle of reactive, amygdala-driven decisions. It gives that flood of stress hormones a chance to recede, it quiets down the alarm system, and it lets the rational commander get back in the driver's seat. It really is about going slow to go fast.
But the fight isn't over when the sirens go quiet. The brain, just like any overtaxed muscle, needs a very specific and structured recovery protocol to rebuild its strength.
And this is such a powerful tool. Instead of just reviewing tactics, the what, a cognitive autopsy forces a leader to analyze their own thought process, the how. They ask, why did I feel so pressured right then? Or did I fall back on a mental shortcut there? It's not about blame. It's about building the self-awareness you need to make your future decision-making that much more resilient. And look, recovery isn't passive. It's an active, disciplined process. It requires real psychological detachment, not just being off duty, but really, truly mentally disengaged. It means organizations have to enforce strict work-rest cycles. And maybe most importantly, they have to dismantle that toxic Iron Man culture that treats fatigue as some kind of moral failing. Mental fatigue is a physical injury, and it has to be treated that way. When you boil it all down, these high-stakes leaders have learned a hard lesson. They have to manage their own cognitive resources with the exact same discipline they use to manage a crisis. They know their mind is their primary weapon. So the final question for all of us is, in your own life, in your own high-stakes moments, how are you protecting and preserving yours?